The 911 has been the iconic Porsche since 1964, just decades of Porsche evolution. They've gotten bigger, they've gotten faster, they've gotten safer, they've gotten more luxurious. So as they've kind of gotten older and the model line's gotten more mature, they've added these different variants, turbos, GT3s, GT2s, all this other stuff, different power levels. Porsche 911 has been the backbone that Porsche has really built their sports car business on. And still to this day, it's the one car that every other car manufacturer aims at with whatever car that they're trying to come out with. It's always a 911 fighter of some sort, because this car is so good and it does so many things well, and it's so durable that there's really, it forces you to confront it in the car marketplace. So there's this really cool process when you go to the factory that they take the whole body with the doors and everything like that, and they kind of semi-assemble it, and then they paint it. And while they're painting it, they're building the engine and they're building the components. The way a Porsche is built, it's not like the way a lot of American cars are built. It's built from like a sandwich. So they take the bottom half of the car and it's on its own assembly line, and then they have the top half of the car and that's on its own assembly line. And then they have this thing called the merge, where literally like the two rivers of cars come together, and then it's like the robots put them together at the right thing, and then there's a couple technicians that literally marry the chassis to the shell. And it's a really cool process, because if you take it like 8 or 10 steps back, you'll look at the chassis, which is effectively the suspension components, the brakes, transmission, the engine, all that stuff, the real guts and glory of the car. You'll look at it and you'll try to identify the car based on what you can see. Oh, it's got yellow brakes, it's got ceramics. That means it has to be this. Oh, it's got center locks. It has to be this. And so you're literally like trying to play this little game with the guys that work at the factory, and they're like, oh, you're very good at this. Yeah, Yeah, that's transmission, that's different, And you start to recognize the components because they have different size engines, different cooling systems for the engines, stuff like that. And as they marry that together, that's when the car is really born. And it's really cool to see that, because Porsche still has a very innovative process of not just using technology and automation, which a lot of people use, but also using people and skilled people and keeping those people skilled and fresh. So one of the weirdest things about the Porsche assembly line is they have not just one guy that puts in seats and that's his life. You put in seats for like a week, and then the next week you put in the dashboard. And so you actually funnel your way through the entire process of the car, so you can always know what's going on. But the way they use automation is they have these little like R2-D2 robots that drag the parts around on this big wall. And so that's where they take the parts off the wall and put it into the car. So the door panels or the windows or anything like that, it all gets assembled in these little 5 or 10 minute stations. And then they have these mandatory breaks. So the assembly line runs for about 55 minutes and then shuts down for 5 minutes. When you see these guys putting the cars together, they're pretty jovial, they're fresh and stuff like that. And you realize it's because of the process that they use to build it. It keeps them fresh. They're always seeing all the different special components of the car. Really, from an ownership perspective, Porsche is so special because these cars are so robust. When people say, oh, I don't want to abuse the car or something like that, it's really funny, because when you think about the German use cycle, like where the cars are engineered and how they're built and what they're being designed for, they're literally built to run on the Autobahn at full throttle for a full tank of gas. And the whole car has to work. If you think about that, right? So the whole car, so the tires have to work, the brakes have to work, everything has to work at that duration, at that intensity. You never get to have that much fun on the road here. The police chiefs and all the sheriffs assure us of that. But if you go to Germany, you can. So that's one of the reasons why we espouse people to do European delivery. So we can arrange it for them to actually pick their car up, go see it built, and have lunch at the factory, and then go drive it around the Western Europe or wherever they want to go, wherever their heart's content. And I've done it a couple times. I've gone over there with clients to deliver cars with them. It's really the only way, unless you're good driving on the track, to get to see what the car can really do.